ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The Utah Jazz, 7-3 right now, got a great road win last night against Los Angeles Lakers. Now, I know people like to give the Lakers a bunch of crap right now because it's LeBron James, and so that's going to happen regardless. You have Russell Westbrook, you have Anthony Davis, Street Clothes Davis. You got a bunch of players that, I mean, they're 2-6, right? Like, I don't even need to explain to you why people are making fun of the Lakers, but they have the third best defense in the NBA. Probably not after last night when Utah put up 75 in the first half and finished with 130, but they had the third best defense in the NBA. So they are a good defensive team, and we didn't see any of that last night when they went up against Utah. Now, like I said, Utah is 7-3. All right, they're 4-0 at home, 3-3 on the road. And everybody is so surprised, right? Myself included. When the Jazz got off to the undefeated start that they did, I had to do some digging. I had to watch the film. I had to do some digging. And the longer the season goes on, I know we're 10 games in, and I guess this is a little bit of an overreaction. They're a really talented team. But what's crazy is people think they don't have these superstars. You know, there's no Tatum, there's no Giannis, there's no Jimmy Butler, there's no Anthony Davis, there's no LeBron James, there's no NR superstar, or even, I guess, a star. However, Lauri Markkanen is playing like an all-star right now. They just have there's a ton of talent. And when you break it down, they're an extremely, extremely balanced team. Extremely balanced team. They have the 9th best offense in the NBA right now. They have the 11th best defense in the NBA right now. Yeah, Lauri Markkanen's at the helm. Last night was a beautiful example of why Lauri Markkanen is currently on his way to an all-star bid. If the Jazz not only keep winning, because winning is a little important in all-star voting, if he keeps just doing what he's doing, he will be an all-star. 100% he will be an all-star. I mean, last night, here's Kelly. We'll run through his stat line. 27 points, 10 rebounds, 3 of those were offensive. 13 rebounds, 3 of those were offensive. 4 assists, a steal, a block, couple of threes, 3 threes. But to me, what was so impressive was defensively, because he outperformed Anthony Davis, who, if you guys know my take on Anthony Davis, if you've watched my Anthony Davis talks, I think AD, when healthy, is a top 10 player in the NBA. He made Anthony Davis irrelevant in the second half. AD got off to a good first half. I believe he had 18 points. It's not like all of those were against Lauri Markkanen, but after that, we actually have a stat right here. How many points did AD finish with? 22. He had 4 second-half points. 4 second-half points. So Lauri just outplayed him in every way, shape, or form. Every facet of basketball, especially in the second half, but in the game in general, Lauri Markkanen outplayed superstar player Anthony Davis. So he's on the way to an all-star. Now, when we take a look at their starting lineup, you have Mike Conley, who's been underrated his entire NBA career. You have Kelly Olynyk, who also has been heavily underrated his entire NBA career. Jordan Clarkson, I think you could actually make the same. You could make the same argument for him. Jared Vanderbilt is a kind of do-it-all. He's actually shooting a lot better from downtown as well. Phenomenal two-way player, very critical for their defense. He can go to multitude of different players, and he's just a freak athlete. He's good in transition. They have a bunch of winners. Kelly Olynyk, former 20-point-per-game scorer for the Houston Rockets, is Mr. Efficiency. I mean, this season he has been Mr. Efficiency. Last night especially, 7-10 from the field. Another one of those games where he takes double-digit field goal attempts and has 2 or 3 misses. We've seen that several times this season. So he had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, shot perfect 3 of 3 from downtown. His impact, you can't even really look at the stat line and be like, it's not like 18, 4, and 3 is not impressive, but he had a really big impact on the game, just like Mike Conley, right? But when we take a look at Mike Conley's stat line, 15 points, 10 rebounds. Now, everybody would take that. Every single team, every single point guard, every player would take 15 and 10, but you don't really realize how vital he is, how vital his veteran leadership, his veteran expertise is until you're watching this Utah Jazz team. And it's been really cool to see a lot of people giving a lot of love to Utah right now, especially because, even when they had Mitchell, even when they had Rudy Gobert, I still felt like, outside of Jazz fans or I guess hardcore NBA fans, not too many people were watching Utah. Right now, their culture, it's been a complete 180. They've flipped it. They're having a lot of fun. They're very, very well head coached. I'm not saying Utah is 100% going to be a top 6 seed. I wouldn't be surprised if Utah was a top 6 seed, but the West is extremely deep. I don't think you can really evaluate a basketball team till we're about 20 to 25 games in, so we're about halfway there. But I would say Utah's a playing team. And at worst, they'll be right outside of the play-in. So moving on to the rest of their roster, well, Jordan Clarkson is playing like a stud. I mean, Jordan Clarkson, former six-man, we know he's a walking bucket, but he's done a phenomenal job at collapsing defenses. He's done a phenomenal job in the pick and roll with Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen specifically. Last night, a 20-game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Just a really solid game from Jordan Clarkson. He continues having a really solid season. But it doesn't end just there with their starting 5. They also have a really multifaceted bench. Colin Sexton was their spark plug last night. 3 of 5 from downtown, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Colin Sexton, what was it? It was either the third quarter or the fourth quarter where he was just, I think he actually made all 3 of his, he made at least 2 threes in the span of a minute or two. He's just a bucket. He's just a walking bucket. So having that off of the bench, a former 25-point-per-game scorer just a couple of years ago before he got injured in Cleveland and DG the PG took over his starting point guard role, Sexton's found his place, and it's the 6th man on the Utah Jazz team. The good thing is as well, I can say this about Rudy Gay, I can say this about Malik Beasley, I can say this, I'm a big THT fan. I guess that's probably not the best take, but I can, with confidence, say Rudy Gay, Colin Sexton, and Malik Beasley, all 3 of those players could come in and fill in for any starter for 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, a month, 3 months, the rest of the season, whatever is an ideal. No, definitely not trying to really talk about injuries, but you get what I'm saying. That's how deep they are. They have a bunch of reliable players. They know their role. They are doing their part on a night-in to night-out basis, and the culture is just, they're having so much fun. And as a fan, as a basketball fan, as a former Utah resident, it's been really cool to see him just as a diehard NBA guy, watching Utah 7-3. I don't care if they lost the rest. I mean, it would actually desperately suck if they lost the rest of their games, so it's a little bit of a dramatic take, but if Utah even just lost every game for the rest of the season, I will, that's actually a really bad example. But hopefully you can kind of get what I'm saying, where what they're doing right now is extremely special because they were anticipated heavily to either be the worst team in the NBA or the second worst team in the NBA behind the San Antonio Spurs, who I think they lost tonight. So they're either 5-4 or 5-5, but still, these are teams that were not expected to do it. But Utah, they're deeper than San Antonio. They're just deeper. They're better, and I don't know. There's just something special about Utah. I haven't really quite been able to put the word, but I got a lot of hungry guys, a lot of forgotten players, underappreciated players, and I think we could just be, we're definitely witnessing the beginning of this in a long-term scale, but we also are we're kind of looking at the beginning and the start of things for what could be a very fun and interesting season for the Utah Jazz. So that's it for today. If you guys want more Jazz content, I've been posting a ton of it. Show some love down below. As always, hit that like button, hit that sub button. I'll catch you guys later.